Hello, entrepreneurs, designers, digital nomads, and business gurus. Welcome to Circle Live, our internet talk show just for Squarespace Circle members. I am Sam Z, one of your community managers.
And I'm Sarah G, one of your other community managers. And we are joined live in the chat by Taylor Lagoy, who is moderating and excited to get to know you all. At the last Circle Live, we recapped our favorite moments from Circle Day.
And today we will be visited by spirits from a holiday past. We're talking tales from holiday sales with two fabulous entrepreneurs, Rachel Ralston and Jessica Peddicord. We all know from the movies that holidays are a time for things going really well, but also things going not so well. And our guests are here today to reassure you that you are not alone. Sarah, do you have any tales from your holiday past you can share with us?
Yes, I do. My family there were big holiday people. So I got a lot of stories. I'll tell one today. Every year growing up, we would trade off celebrating Christmas at our house or at my aunt and uncle's house. I hated celebrating Christmas at my aunt and uncle's house. I love my aunt and uncle. They're not gonna watch. They're not circle members, but I do love my aunt and uncle. But I hated celebrating Christmas at their house, because instead of using ornaments on their Christmas tree, they would use live candles. And respect if this is also what you do and you're in the chat. I'm just now realizing maybe we have circle members that do that. But as a 9-year-old being at their house, I was like, I'm literally gonna be responsible for burning their house down. And basically what would happen is we'd like have Christmas dinner. And then, people were like full or whatever. And so we'd go and sit in the living room and we would just stare at the Christmas tree with the candles on it for like a full hour, which I barely have the attention span of a goldfish today. So imagine at 9 years old how absolutely torturous that was. Again, love my aunt and uncle. I just would never put a child through that.
I think Christy definitely agrees with you there.
So stressful.
A whole hour, did they set a timer?
It was just kind of like a vibe check situation. Like they were like, did I soak in as much candle as I want for the year? You know what I mean? And I know that they had the candles at their house, even if we celebrated Christmas at our house, but then I didn't have to be part of it, and I could run around and create havoc.
Wow.
Do you have any stories? Good or bad?
Sure do. I'm glad your story was merely just one of boredom. I'm glad you didn't actually burn the house down because that would be a true holiday disaster. My story is about a minor holiday disaster. I think back on it and I don't feel great. But this Thanksgiving a few years ago, and to kick things off, I was given the responsibility of opening the Thanksgiving champagne. My grandmother loved champagne. It was always her thing. And it was a big responsibility. I was ready for the task. I've opened plenty of champagne bottles before, but this time, and this has never happened to me before, but in a cartoonish way, I opened the bottle and with perfect aim, clocked my father in the head with it. And
oh my gosh.
He had to sit down. He's still with us today.
I mean, amen.
But I do remember feeling so embarrassed that I had to go for a walk.
Yeah. Did a lot of people watch you do that?
Oh yeah, the whole family. Yeah.
But no hospital visits?
Nothing. No. So far so good. I should probably call him.
Yeah, probably. It's getting to that time of the year. I like that both of our stories are it could have been really bad, but it wasn't. Keeping you on the edge of your seat.
Absolutely. And, in the chat, we want to hear your stories too. So if you have a favorite story from the holidays, it doesn't have to be a disaster. It doesn't have to be a time when you were almost bored to death. It could be a time when stuff is going well, or it could be a disaster. Everyone loves a good disaster story.
Yeah, why not?
And it could also be a story about just holiday selling, because that is the topic of today's conversation. Speaking of selling, at Squarespace, we like to be transparent with our Circle community. We know you're marketers. We know you appreciate a well-expressed message. And when we're running a marketing campaign, we want you to be part of it. This fall's marketing campaign is designed to sell. It kicked off with our beautiful Squarespace Refresh website and continued with our fall product showcase event earlier this month. And next month, we'll be continuing the celebration when Circle member Christine Neal is joining us to show you 5 of her best e-commerce tips. That is the event 5 e-commerce tips with Christine Neal. You might know Christine. She's the mind behind ChristineNeal.com, where she's helped clients of all shapes and sizes sell more online. If you want to be a better seller and speak with authority during your next client call, join me and Christine online November 9th for 5 e-commerce tips. It's going to be a lot of fun. And Taylor's going to share that link in the chat. Are we seeing any kinds of holiday comments in the chat?
We are seeing no stories. Just one question from Christy Price, who says, "Are you still allowed to open the champagne, Sam?" Which that I think was probably what was on all of our minds.
No, my privileges have been revoked. But you know what? I hope to win that trust back. I'm doing a lot of practices. I'm watching some YouTube videos. Maybe this year things will turn around for me.
Every day at 5 p.m. at the Squarespace office, you just hear pop and Sam practicing opening champagne again.
We have a little comment from Lewis. On a personal level, Lewis cannot with the Christmas stuff before Halloween, but on a professional level, definitely have to be prepared. Today's guests are from 2 different perspectives of holiday selling, but I'm sure we will have no problem finding some common ground. Jessica Peddicord is an artist, a decorator, and the entrepreneur behind simply jessicamarie.com. Jessica, welcome to Circle Live.
Thank you. Hey, y'all.
And Rachel Ralston is a business advisor with over 15 years of experience helping businesses achieve their business goals. She runs rachelralston.co. Rachel, welcome to Circle Live.
Hello. Hi.
So today we're telling tales of holiday sales. Jessica, let's start with you. Jessica, can you tell us a little bit about a time when holiday sales went really well or went maybe not as well as you'd hoped?
Yeah. So my story is kind of a combination of the two. I have been running my shop for 10 years now, and 2020 was a major year for e-commerce businesses, as I'm sure y'all remember. And holiday sales especially were through the roof, which was a great blessing, but also kind of a logistical nightmare. And I sell a lot of different products for the holidays. Some are small, like ornaments and calendars. And then I also sell wrapping paper, which has to be split shipped, and I ship those in a tube. And I thought that I did a lot of prep work ahead of time to figure out what the shipping costs would be for a variety of different options, like if someone just ordered wrapping paper or if they just ordered a tea towel. And I also thought that I calculated it well about if people ordered both and I had to split ship them, but I did not. And I lost a good chunk of change on shipping at the beginning of the holiday season for my first launch. And I had to scramble and really figure things out to make sure that I stopped losing money on shipping before Black Friday sales rolled around. So it was wonderful that the shop was so successful, but it kind of forced me to get everything in check and in line before the rest of the season continued, which in the end is kind of a blessing as well, but kind of threw myself to the wall with that one.
Yeah, that sounds like that holidays was a blessing and a curse. How about you, Rachel? When's a time when holidays went extremely well or perhaps not as well as you had hoped?
So I have many of those stories, but one that actually just popped into my head now is a few years ago, I was working for a luxury pajama company in London, and sales had been a little bit slow in the lead up around Black Friday. And all of a sudden we had a sale come in that was like £30,000. And it was pretty incredible. But is that real? Like, who's buying 30,000 pounds of pajamas? And I'm talking pounds for my UK days. But, and so if I wasn't going to be a retail consultant, I would probably be a private investigator. So I had the best job in the nerdiest way of figuring out if this was real. I was looking at satellite imagery. It had come from Qatar. So I was like really getting into it. And it turns out it was real. And it was a Qatari princess And it almost pushed me into a whole new line of work. But it's real. And so we ended up being able to process it, send it out, and did so much like lovely business that it became its own sales channel when we would report on it. So yeah, so it ended up being fantastic rather than a fake 30,000 scam.
I just love the both of you finding the positive in what could have been the negative. Sarah, you look like you have the question you want to ask or something to add.
I mean, I just think that that's an incredible story, Rachel, and I love that it ends with the princess. I wish more of my stories ended in that way. And Jessica, I feel like that's just such like a good lesson in like always staying like vigilant and on top of things. Like you walked us through how you had prepared and like thought through things, and like still challenges came up, and our work is never really done when running a business, is it?
No. Yeah, I always just expect at least one little thing to happen or go wrong on a launch day, like a discount code having a typo in it, or just something that you think you prepare as best as possible, but we're all human, so mistakes inevitably will happen.
Yeah, absolutely. One important thing for a lot of businesses is to consider how they're changing their websites for the holidays. Rachel, how big does this change actually need to be?
It does not need to be astronomical. It does need to be where someone who was on your site the week before you started talking about the holidays could visit and see that there's now a call to action for them to start thinking about holidays and gifting. I think where the work really comes in is on the back end with a bit of spring cleaning, which I think we'll talk more about in a bit.
Awesome. And Jessica, I know that you're changing the way that you change your website for the holidays based on a big change in your life. Can you take us through the changes that you're making to the holiday selling this year and your thinking behind it?
Yeah. So I just had our first baby girl in February, which we're very excited about. Thank you. But with that, I'm sure it's pretty relatable. Before having her, I was like, I don't think that much is really going to change with business. I don't know, but I have been feeling pulled to want to have a little bit more work-life balance. I know that that is something I put in air quotes because what does that even really look like? But for me, as I've sat down and really thought that through, Black Friday weekend in the past, for probably the past 5 years, I have done daily deals where each day I highlight a different product or service. So in addition to running my product shop, I also design heirloom watercolor crests for weddings and families. And then I have an educational component to my business as well, where I have online classes teaching other watercolor artists both how to paint and how to digitize their watercolors to start product shops of their own. And so for the different days of Black Friday, I'll have different sales. For instance, Black Friday would be specifically focused on the shop, and it would be the biggest discount of the weekend. Saturday for Small Business Saturday, for that day only, I run a discount for the online courses and my vendor guide. Sunday, I made up a fake holiday called Sweetheart Sunday, where I have a discount on our watercolor crests, and it's the only day for the entire year that those crests will be discounted. And then Monday, it's back to a product shop discount with usually a fun extra twist like free shipping on orders over $100 or a mystery bundle, which is always a popular product that tends to sell pretty quickly. And then Tuesday, I would do the smallest discount as it would kind of get down lower and lower throughout the weekend of sales. And then I would give back to a local charity as well. And that sense of urgency has worked really well in the past for sales, but it's also a lot to keep up with on the back end, having to change over the homepage at midnight every night or early the next morning, which is just not something I'm really feeling like I want to be doing this year with a baby, since sleep, thankfully, has gotten a lot easier now that she's 8 months old, but it's still something that I cherish a lot. And I don't want to stay up until midnight if I don't have to. And it also has presented some challenges in the past when customers have maybe missed out on a daily deal and then they email the next day asking if they can get that discount applied. So it has been a blessing and a curse in the sense that it worked well, but it also had some logistical problems. So this year, we're going to simplify things and have one discount for the entire Black Friday weekend, but have it applicable to everything in my business, from the product shop to the online courses and watercolor crest, to hopefully give both me and my team a little bit more breathing room, but also have potentially even a better experience with sales for customers too. So a little nervous about this change, but also excited to see how it goes.
Definitely. And congrats, Jessica. Absolutely, on growing your family, and you got a number of congrats in the chat as well, which is good to see. Good to see support. I know that there's a lot of family-oriented circle members who appreciate hearing you talk about trying to make space for your family.
Yeah.
One thing I think is interesting is hearing you talk, Jessica. It seems like you could be one of Rachel's clients.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And you're thinking about things so strategically, and I don't want to suggest that you're doing it wrong. But Rachel, I'm curious, just while we have you here, what's your response to Jessica's strategy? Is there anything that you might advise or add to that if Jessica were to come through your door and start becoming a client?
I think I would tell you, Jessica, that it's a fantastic idea, whether you have a baby or not. The amount of work and stress that I'm sure that that's put your team under just is so extreme. And you also find, though, where it may seem like you're doing it so that you don't have to talk about the same thing over and over, it's not feeling like that to your customers. So they need that message said to them numerous times in order to take action finally. So you even just having this one discount over all of these offerings just for that limited time of that 4 or 5 days, it's still going to give them that sense of urgency and actually give them the time to digest what you're even offering before they are on the site and you're like, yep, I'm going to do this. I'll do this, later today. They go on tomorrow after they forgot and can be a bit thrown off. So I'm so excited that you've taken that pressure off yourself. And I think it's going to just, come back in tenfold.
I really appreciate you saying that, because I know I was a little nervous about it going in. So I'm glad to hear that you think it's a good idea.
And I think it's really common when you are the creative director and the founder, and your mind is working you're 100 steps ahead, and you want to just keep creating, and you get a bit sick of what you're doing already or what you're talking. I don't know. I'm don't want to have a psychic moment, but this is the vibe I'm getting.
A little bit.
But your customers aren't feeling that. So sometimes it's about slowing down that message too.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll go well. So I'm hopeful.
Rachel, with all of the clients that you work with, I imagine a lot of them are feeling high stress during this time of year. And I imagine you often find yourself in the role of the person saying, slow down, keep doing what you're doing. Do you find it's hard to get that message across, especially when the inclination is to go at 85 miles an hour during this time of year?
For sure. And I mean, a lot of times just with small business owners and founders, and especially from creative businesses, this is why they've succeeded and why they're doing so well, is just how quick they can move and how well they can execute. But there does come a point when you're scaling that the foundations need to be set and things do need to slow to then be able to keep rolling and go up. So especially during the holidays, I think people feel such a pressure. So the advice I give, and it's not too late, but I would start planning things as early as you can in the year. I do usually like talking to my clients about planning the holidays, even in the summertime. Just start thinking about what you want to do in July and August. But it's certainly not too late now. And there's some essentials that are really easy wins that you could still do if you feel like you're not ready for holidays. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'd love to tap into that from both of you, what you feel like have been some of those easy things that you can do. I know we talked through some of them, Rachel, especially if you have a small store or you don't feel like you can reinvent yourself for the holidays. And maybe Jessica, from earlier in your journey, what are things that you started doing to kind of make people feel like they were experiencing that shift towards holiday selling?
Yeah, I can go first. So when I first started my shop, I believe I launched, it was over the summer, and I was not sure what direction I really wanted to go in. And I didn't have a full holiday focused line yet. I had more everyday lifestyle products. And then the next year, I started designing Christmas products and other holiday products as well. But I feel like, especially since a lot of y'all who are watching might not be product shop owners, but you might design websites or be some other type of creative, there are ways to really tap into the holiday season without having holiday specific products. So something that has worked well in the past for my brand and for some of my other creative friends is you can offer, even if you don't want to do a discount, you can bundle some of your products or services to offer some sort of exclusive deal that's only live during the holiday season. So that's worked well in the past too. Even changing up the way you package things. If you are a product shop owner, some of my other artist friends mostly sell art prints or original paintings, but maybe they'll make their packaging feel a little bit more festive for the holiday season, and focusing on communicating why things are good gifts for people, even if they're not holiday focused, I know has been really helpful for sales for some of my other artist friends too. And I've even noticed that as well. A lot of the products that we sell during the holiday season are holiday focused, but since we are seeing some sales ramp up more towards Black Friday, and that is so close to the holiday itself. People have already potentially been using their Christmas mugs or decorating their tree, and they've already purchased those products. But closer to Black Friday season, they might be thinking, okay, what does my mother-in-law want for a gift? So she might want to buy some art prints or personalized stationery or a calendar or something like that. So not necessarily pigeonholing yourself into, I don't have any holiday products or I'm more service-based. There's definitely, I feel like, ways that you can still capitalize on the holiday season. I know that it's even close to the next year, and a lot of product-based businesses like myself are shopping more for what they can do for their own business too. So even working with web designers or people like Rachel, I feel like that's kind of top of my mind during a busy sales season, is how can I make my experience better for my brand? So I feel like that's something I'm quote unquote shopping for during that time of year too.
And how would you communicate some of those things? I mean, you mentioned communicating how this is a good gift. Is that a matter of through the copywriting, through the design of it? Would you even say this is perfect for a mother-in-law?
Yeah. Yeah, I try and sprinkle that in anywhere that I can. So in our product descriptions, I do have at the very end of pretty much all of our products, I have listed these would make beautiful gifts for XYZ, if it's stationery like baby shower gifts or something like that, which is good for the customer to be like, oh, I never would have thought of it this way. And it's also helpful for SEO. But then utilizing my blog and doing gift guides, sending gift guides to my newsletter, on social media, doing either a post or a reel about gift ideas. Those tend to perform well. And even simply showing how we're packaging up shop orders on stories, I take custom notes that we write as gift orders for customers if they're shipping directly to a loved one. So showcasing that to kind of spark the idea of, oh, I might have someone who would like this as well. Because the gift guides, I feel like, are good inspiration, but for some reason, I even feel this way too. If I see somebody else actually placing an order for something, then that kind of sticks a little bit more. It's like, oh, this is a real life example of what somebody purchased and what I might want to. So doing something like that, or if you have any good testimonials from customers, sharing those too, about like, my mother-in-law loved this so much and she probably displays her calendar in our kitchen or something like that. So our own words are wonderful, but customer testimonials are also really impactful.
Rachel, any patterns that you're seeing that connect to the clients that you've worked with, getting people to think about holiday gifting? Anything to add here?
Yeah, I mean, everything Jessica said is so spot on. And a lot of the advice that I would give to clients that I was working with, I think the key picture is sometimes even making it more like simplifying it even more. So like on the website, spelling it out, like gifts for mom, gifts for dad, like rethinking your categories and how you're merchandising is such an easy win that you can do. And then like placing all these products that you've done such great descriptions on that say what they're for. And because sometimes if the customer never gets to that point, they wouldn't get to experience that. So I think having that experience happen for a customer within the first few seconds when they visit your site during the holidays is key. And so I always like to talk to my clients about setting up different categories within their menu, and categories meaning words that your like customers are using. So I think a lot of times most of my clients will put in collections, and it'll be the name of their collection. And does that resonate, or does that mean anything to their customer? Not often. And I'm sure if you look up like the traffic and where people are visiting, that might be a bit lower. So it's setting up your collections to really walk your customer by the hand over to what they should purchase and for who. So yeah, definitely. But then everything else you're doing sounds really fantastic.
Yeah, I have definitely seen that too. I feel like I try and keep my collections as to the point as possible, like the holiday collection, the spring collection, summer, instead of naming like last year, I think it was last year or 2 summers ago when Coastal Grandmother was a huge trend. That was technically the name of the collection. And this year is the Preppy Pastel Gingerbread collection. But on the website, it just says holiday or summer or something really easy to digest. And even for our crests, I always use the word commission. But I have gotten feedback from some clients where they're like, I don't know what commission is. That sounds like a fancy word. So we just changed the wording to order your crest instead of commission your crest. And I feel like that is a lot easier to understand for people who might not be artists.
For sure. And I think we get so wrapped up in it that, you know, these are the words we're using internally with teams. And sometimes we don't just stop to like, should we just ask our customers, like, what are they using? What, you know, so I do, if you are, it doesn't matter if you're product or service. I always recommend taking some time even before the holidays to like have a chat with some of your best customers and like just do a little bit of research too before you set all of this up for the holidays. Along the lines of what you were saying too, I would highly recommend, especially if you're running ads during this time, that you should expect a lot of customers who don't know you, a lot of new customers. So whereas like if I visit your site, Jessica, like it's clear you have customers that just like absolutely love you and are loyal and get everything you're doing. But I'd highly recommend during the holidays, as you have so many eyes on your site, to have a landing page that's like back to basics of like who you are and what this is and how they like came upon you. So I always recommend that, especially if you're running ads, because I think a lot of the ads can fall short if they're brought to just the main area that like most of your customers are used to.
Yeah, good advice.
I'm curious from both of you how you think people can stay inclusive with the holidays. Obviously, there's a lot of different holidays happening at this time, and I'm wondering is calling something that it like a holiday sale even still cool? Are people still using that? What is your thinking on that? And maybe Rachel, we start with you.
Which it's a tricky one. A lot of my clients are still using that, but they're also looking for a better answer. So it has moved there. And even over in Europe where they had been just naming specific holidays, they'll say Christmas sale, et cetera. Like they're now where we've been a bit ahead of that. It now seems they're moving over to talking about holidays. But I still think that there's a more inclusive way. And I'm sorry, I don't have that magic answer.
No, not at all. It's helpful to even know that it's still nuanced. Jessica, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's actually something that I was thinking about earlier this year, since I do feel like a lot of my designs are centered around Christmas, since that's the tradition that my family celebrates. But I am always looking for ways to be more inclusive to my entire community. And I last year designed a collection that was not quite as focused on Christmas itself, but more the celebration of the Nutcracker, since that's another tradition that I love to go to with my family is the ballet. And so I did a blue and white collection and created some other holiday designs and artwork that were purely blue and white that could also work for other holidays in addition to just Christmas. But in next year's collection, I am thinking of doing designs for all of the different holidays that are celebrated instead of just Christmas too, because I feel like that representation is important for sure. And I want to make sure this year I did not have time to paint a lot with having a baby, but I want to be able to celebrate more than just Christmas in the shop. And I feel like that's definitely something that would be greatly appreciated by my customers as well.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's an ongoing conversation with you and your customers that I think no matter what, you've got to try stuff out. You've got to diversify your portfolio and see what works. Ask people what they want. This is so great. Delighted to have you both here, and we're going to take a quick break for another promo. Audience, if you have any questions for these two luminaries of holiday selling, please put them in the chat. Sarah and Taylor and I will be on the hunt for those during this next Q&A section. So put those questions for Rachel and Jessica in the chat. But for right now, do you and your business want to be featured in a future Circle update email? If you're a content creator, you're making resources all the time. Photos, illustrations, website designs, videos, blog posts, even some shorthand tips or advice. We want to feature your work in our Circle updates, but you have to let us know about them first. To submit your resource for consideration, complete the form we're sharing in the chat now. And Taylor is going to share that link in the chat. Let's get into some audience Q&A. Sarah, I know we had some questions pulled out. Anything that you're seeing that you want to start with?
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we start with Jesse's question? Jesse says, about selling products online, what's something you know and live by that you don't think anyone else realizes is important? Rachel, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, that less is more. And especially during this time of year, really going through and clearing out products that you have had hanging around that you know are not working. This is your time to get through them and to clear them from the main pages and where you're driving your traffic to, and really focus on what's working. I also like to eliminate as many barriers to purchase as possible. So at this time of year, if you have sold out products that you're not pre-ordering for immediate for holiday, remove them off the site. I know it sometimes it makes people think, oh, sold out is, exclusive, and it's a barrier to purchase. So I like to just get the site super clean, less is more product wise.
That's great.
I love it. I could definitely take a page from that. We have quite a few products on our website, and it is something that I was talking to my shipping assistant last week about. So it's good to hear that reminder from you too, because we have so many different product offerings that I know it can be overwhelming for us, both from what we have on the website, but also inventory and keeping stock of that as well. But it can also be kind of, emotional to get rid of certain designs, especially if it's artwork that I spent hours painting. But I know it's important to look at the data and see what's selling well and really tap into that and kind of trim out what might not be selling quite as well. That way, hopefully the best sellers can have their spot to shine.
And it's never a full goodbye, It's just a see you later to those items. So don't worry. You can revisit when it makes sense in the future.
Yeah.
That's great. We have a question from Aaron that says, I'd love to hear more on what things like web design you think business owners are hunting for during the holidays. Jessica, you're a business owner. Do you want to start us off?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So many things. As I've been trying to think through what I can delegate or hire out. So there are two other people on my team, my shipping assistant, who also handles some social content. She is significantly younger than me, so it's great to have that newer twist on things where I might not be as on trend with some of the things going on TikTok and all that stuff that she helps with. But now that we are really getting more into the season of busy shipping orders, it's something that she might not have as much time for. So she helps with that. And then my sister actually is on our team as well. And she handles all of our crest design, and she went to school for PR. But there are a lot of gaps in the system that I used to focus on before having our daughter that I don't necessarily have as much time for. And those things could look like ads. We don't have someone handling those right now. So that would be a big thing that we're looking for. My sister used to focus on Pinterest strategy, but she's kind of scaled back a little bit. We've got that on good autopilot, but help with that, help with social content, whether it's someone to create the actual reels and TikToks and everything for us, or just more of a strategy standpoint. I think those are the things that pop into my mind the most, but copywriting would be another big one that I think our team is trying to really make sure that we're clear on our message. So I feel like hiring a copywriter would be something that would be top of mind as well.
Awesome. Rachel, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of my clients right now are realizing how I don't want to say weak, but how their marketing strategy could have definitely used some work this year. And so many are kind of saying, okay, the year's done. We've done what we could. Holidays will come, but they really want to get prepped and ready for next year. So even from like a digital side, if people are looking for, marketing calendars, like templates that people can use to fill out and start planning, and both from who I work with for B2B and direct to consumer. So things that just kind of help them organize how they can create a strategy if they can't, if they currently don't have the budget to, bring on a marketing director. So definitely anything that can help them. They're in the mode to start planning for 2024 now.
Great. Those are both great. Really practical answers. We got some more questions. We can keep going. Great. Okay. We got a question from Maria who says, Rachel, what would you recommend a branding and design agency could offer in a holiday campaign? Wow. We're just going straight for that practical advice. Rachel, what do you think?
I mean, it could go in so many different directions. I will just say my clients right now, again, with this whole idea of wanting to get fresh and start over for 2024, they are looking to rebrand. They are looking to get organized from a brand identity perspective. So I never want to, minimize your services or have you do any types of promos. So I'd say it's, maybe creating some kind of product that is at a lower price point that more walks a customer or through how they could do it on their own. If you're trying to, bring on kind of a new customer segment, or I would just say your messaging should be around getting fresh for 2024, and that now's the time to strategize for that.
I love that. And I love the idea of offering or creating some kind of digital download. You were talking about that before. What something web design folks can do is you obviously have such a wealth of knowledge. Can you package that in a way that makes it something that's easy to throw onto your shop? I think that's brilliant.
Personally, that's what I'm focusing on now too, realizing, there's a time for one-to-ones, and then now it's time to figure out how to package that knowledge.
Could you, that's actually a question that I'd wanted to ask before, and we definitely have time for it now, about digital selling. I know, Rachel, you have some experience with this. Do you want to talk about a little bit more about digital products for the holidays, some strategies that you think might work?
I mean, I think it's thinking of it is a product. So I think it's thinking about it in a product perspective. And with that, the things we talked about earlier, it's time to gift. So start phrasing and start communicating that, yes, you have these digital products that are great for self-purchases. What entrepreneurs do you know in your life? Who do you know, who else would be interested? So whereas, I mean, I'm sure everyone does, if you're selling digital products, you do a great job of really speaking to your customer and talking about their specific pain points. But now switching that up so they can start thinking about, well, who else would need something like this? So think about it as product and use a few of the things that like we talked about earlier.
Jessica, you have a digital product in the classes that you offer online, right? Are you thinking about the holiday selling with those digital products in the same way?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually focus a couple times a year on highlighting the products. In the summer, I have a holiday shop prep class that I try to promote for my customers and students who are trying to do exactly what we're talking about today, is ramping up their stores for the holiday season. So that is a great focus for the summer to prepare people for now. But a lot of my customers also love to enroll in my online painting classes and even gift them to their friends and family during the holidays as kind of a creative gift. And so kind of having something that's not a tangible product, but here's the gift of creativity that I'm going to give to a loved one. And I've heard feedback that a lot of people, especially like moms or new moms or sisters, just think it's the coolest gift ever. So I've even tried to, like Rachel said earlier, make it as easy as possible for people to do that. Because at first I had gotten some questions about, do I use my email to sign them up? Do I use their email? Will they know if I'm using it now? Like, can I wait until Christmas? So I just added a gift card option to my shop for the holiday season where people can give it truly as a gift card, and then the customer is enrolled on Christmas or after Christmas or whichever holiday they're celebrating. And that's gone really well.
It's awesome. I love
Great idea.
Yeah, these are such creative ideas. I feel like I would have never thought about myself. So I love that we're getting these out there. And I know that we have a comment from Catherine who says that she had an email draft written up for a couple months and is now feeling inspired to hit send with a refresh for 2024 spin on it. So this is why we do this. This is so great. I think we have one more question I was seeing from E. In the chat. All right. Any creative suggestions for promoting a single item store featuring a seasonal item, for example, a calendar that is only available, say, October to February? I feel like a lot of the strategies we talked about today are probably applicable. Any nuance that either of you want to add there?
I don't want to become repetitive, but hopefully some of the things that we mentioned earlier you can apply here too.
Yeah. And I think that if it is a product that is available only for a specific time frame, doing things leading up to it, I feel like oftentimes the pre-launch phase is just as important as selling. And so getting active both on social media and your newsletter about showing the process of designing the calendar, getting people excited about it. There's another artist who I love. Her name is Inslee, and her calendar is one of her biggest sellers of her entire shop. And she paints it the entire year, and she'll show you sneak peeks of everything. And she really does such a fantastic job of getting people excited for this calendar. And I know it always sells really well for her. So showcasing that throughout the year, that way you build up that hype for the product launch, even if you're only able to sell it for a certain amount of time. And having, once you do have some photos, having that on your website even before it's available for sale to get people excited, having a wait list that people can join. Right now on my homepage, since our holiday shop is launching tomorrow for the new collection, the first call to action you'll see is to join our newsletter to get early access to shop the sale a half hour before it goes live to the public. So really thinking about how you can focus during that pre-launch phase before the product is available, and potentially even creating a wait list for the next year's calendar when the current calendar sells out would be good too.
That's great.
Well, I think you've both given us such a wealth of advice, just a sack full of holiday gifts. Really, really, really great to have this here. And we're at the end of our Q&A time and close to the end of our show. But I want to first thank you so much to Rachel Ralston. Thank you so much for coming by and giving us, sharing with us such wonderful advice for holiday selling.
Thanks so much. Great to be here.
And Jessica, really great to have you as well. And congrats on the new baby.
Thank you.
Yeah. I wish you both the best of holiday seasons. Unfortunately for us, that is the end of today's show. So to our audience, thanks for joining us live. If you want to join us in the after party, you can go ahead and click on the sessions link on the left. and click on the link in that session, or you can just follow the link that Taylor is going to be sharing in the chat right now. Until next Circle Live, this is Sam Z.
And this is Sarah G.
Reminding you that a course is only as good as what you put into it.
Of course it is. Bye, everybody.